right. Let's see here. I think this is gonna work out. Sorry for not really having all this squared away. This is still a new process for me. I'm gonna try this out. Let's see here. Hopefully this goes on without a hitch. All right. Okay. So let's get to brewing. Today's um, brew is going to be for the second beer in the Cascade collaboration brew. Today's brew is earmarked for the Garden Bike yeast strain. This is the same farmhouse saison type recipe that I've been brewing pretty regularly. Like I said, this one is going to be a collaboration where we're going to trade some beers. So that's going to be fun to do. So let's get to brewing. I've already milled the grains. I've got the yeast culture built up and stuff like that. So it's time to start pouring the water and get going. Additionally, I can't see the comments or anything. If anybody puts anything on my phone here, I'm shooting from my phone. I do have my laptop to the side so that way I can monitor any kind of comments or anything. So it'll be some time before I can kind of return back to that. So let's get going. Um, no, it's hot right now. It's muggy, humid. Just came from the kids' baseball game, so I'm a little dirty. Got some sand and some clay on me. But let's get to brewing. Going to put in the RO water here. All right, so for our water here, we did basic RO water. I already have the water additions, the salt additions measured out, ready to go. For that profile, we're shooting for the yellow dry profile found in Beersmith. So that one's always worked out well for me. Um, our strike temperature is going to be 156. Our mash temperature is 152, 153, I think. So that's worked out pretty well for me. 75-minute mash. So looks like Gnome is here. And hi, Gnome. Sorry, kind of skipped over you very briefly when I saw your comment a minute ago, but it's nice to have you here, buddy. Um, so while I wait for this to come up, I normally add my salt additions within probably about 10 degrees of my target strike temperature. Um, Other than that, it's just the process of waiting for this water to heat up. So while we wait for that, I guess because Gnome, you're the only one else in here other than me. What do you do while you wait for your strike water to come up to temperature when you mash? How do you fill that time? What do you do? I typically try to measure out all my stuff and have all my grains milled the night before. I was kind of slow with that today. Had a lot of stuff going on last night and earlier today. So normally though, during this time and during mashing, I'll listen to some music. I I'm a metalhead, so I'll listen to some Slipknot and some other bands like that. I'm also kind of into nerdcore, so there's a lot of flow bots and music like that that plays while I go. Hey, Brew and Bad, welcome. It's good to see you here. I was just asking what everybody does while they wait for their strike temperature to come up and they're mashing in. So, what do you do? How do you fill the time in that time? We just added all the water to our kettle here, and I just lit the flame. So we're waiting for the temperature to come up for strike. I'm gonna get my beer and my cigar real quick. Give me 1 second. Drink. Yep. So this is the third day of the Advent calendar uh, that I've been sharing with my guys. This is my first entry, the left blonde. Um, I like it. Shared it with my friends. They seem to like it so far. Listen to some tunes. I was saying that I normally listen to things like Slipknot. I'm a pretty big metalhead. Recently, Pandora's been nice to me and introduced me to some new bands, Devil Driver and Once Upon a Burning Body. So that's been pretty cool to jam to. Cheers, guys. Yep, metal all the way. Uh, I've been a I've been a metalhead for a long time. I remember being like 4 years old, throwing up the horns and jumping up and down on the bed to Metallica on MTV and some of the other bands that was during that time. You know, late '80s, early '90s. Um, Always been metal, always. Um, Man, good times back in the day when you didn't have to worry about too much of anything there. Hey, Northwest. Afternoon, sir. Uh, we just uh, we just got the water in the kettle and coming up to strike temperature. Let's see here. Got a couple comments I can't see on the laptop. Give me a moment. Got to hop back off. I'll catch. Okay, cool. We'll catch you later, Breaking Bad. Or sorry, Brewing Bad. We'll be here for a while. Just got back from a hike. Yeah. Today I had a ball game sneak up on me for the kids, and so I got kind of a later start than I thought that I would have. Hey, party time! Welcome, buddy. Um, we just got the water in the kettle, coming up to strike temperature. Got a little later start than meant to. So party time, what do you do while you wait for things to come up to straight temp and while you're mashing in? I listen to music, mostly metal. Let's see here. Right at about 93 degrees or so right now. I'm going to go ahead and kick it up a little bit, kind of get going on this. Running behind on today, and I'll be able to make up some time with no chilling. So uh, I'll get right back to that comment Northwest. So I guess I probably could string something together to be able to heat the water up overnight, especially when I wake up and normally mash in. Uh, I typically brew early in the mornings. Normally, I'll mash in before the sun comes up and before the kids get up, and then normally about the time that I've started my strike and I start mashing in, my son wakes up, and then I kind of help take care of him, and then my daughter will normally wake up about the time that I've moved into boil. And at that point, my wife will have woke up, and we'll kind of just get going throughout the day. Um, and then normally, because I know chill, once I'm done with the boil, we throw the lid on, and then we move on to the other chores and business of the day, grocery shopping, taking care of chickens, the dogs, baseball games, and all that other stuff. It's just I overslept a little bit this morning, and then kind of had to make an emergency run to the local homebrew store, get another fermenter. Um, these last couple brew days, I've kind of done like repeatedly, and so I'm out of fermenters, or at least clean fermenters. I've got a couple of sour only plastic buckets to use, so I had to go get a new one that for this particular one to run in my heated setup, my insulated bag, and all that, so I can run it at about 93, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and let that clank really take off there. So, Gnome, I motivated you to brew this weekend, and lazy seeing me brew so often. I I put off brewing for some of these beers for way too long. My birthday's next weekend, and so I was supposed to have some of these things already ready. I'm just gonna barely make it with the other two that I need to put on tap. I just took a sneak taste test with the Thin Mint Stout last night, and oh my god, that thing is great. My birthday stout is almost done, and the Lithuanian Farmhouse is almost done. I'll be kegging those late coming into this next week, so that's fun, and I can't wait for those things to be ready and have some of these friends over here. And my cigar went out, so let me get the lighter real quick. All right, so we're coming up on about 120 now. So anybody got any hints for bottling off the keg? What do you guys do? I started looking at the counter pressure filler there, so I can get maybe some of this Thin Mint Stout in some bottles and share with some people. But people have been recommending the beer gun, um, the counter pressure filler, and all that kind of stuff. So any hints there would be awesome. I've recently switched from bottling to kegging. I primarily keg most often. Fill that up, a growler up off the keg, and so that's easy. but bottles for like things like competition and being able to share. If you got any helpful hints, let me know. I'd appreciate that. I don't know how many of you guys really compete. I know Party Time does. Gnome, do you? Northwest, I turn down the pressure, purge the keg, and pour directly from the tap to the bottle. I think next month I will buy a flow control. Okay. Um. So, I don't know. I've still got a lot of research to do. I almost picked up a $60 counter flow pressure filler today at the brew store. I was asking the owner and some of the guys there, and everybody was kind of like, you know, the store owner, he uses the beer gun. He has really good luck with it. That it seems like the pressure filler is the way to go from what I've seen, what I've heard, and all that. But I don't really know. So I really kind of got to make up a decision here pretty soon about what I'm gonna do. I don't know if any of y'all are members of the Master Homebrew program and do turn-ins and stuff for that. I am. That's a pretty cool program. Um, so I'm gonna try to compete a little bit better this year. Last year I put in a lot of turn-ins. I was able to rank up through that system. Unfortunately, I haven't had a medal yet. We've won a couple homebrew competitions though, like straight out of the keg. So that's been pretty cool. The raw ale won. Uh, my brew partner last year and we won the hazy IPA competition here locally. That got a commercial release under Jagged Reasoning. And then my brew partner and I this year, we won the Italian Pilsner. His recipe won, mine did not. But I only got to bring home about a gallon left out of that 5 gallon keg. Going out to that competition, I'd only drawn off 1 pint, so that was a lot of beers served out of that one keg. So that was pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in my water salt additions, so that way I get that knocked out and taken care of. Be right back, guys. All right, so went ahead got those water salts put in case you didn't catch that earlier when I was talking about my salt additions, that's the Yellow Balance Profile off of Beersmith. It's the Yellow Dry. Gnome, I'll be entering my first competition soon. Beer needs to be in by February. Judging is March. Ocean State Homebrew Competition. Cool. Oh, excuse me. So the first one opened up here. I'm just kind of concentrating on my local state for the most part. The Lone Star Circuit. Um, I'm in Texas, so go figure there. Um, Sorry, I don't want to miss this temperature. It sucks having to wait for that temperature to come down a little bit. Um, so good luck, Gnome, man. Competing's kind of fun. Um, I do it mostly for the feedback, but I've got my own problems with the way that things are judged a little bit. I put in a Berliner Wise last year, same batch. I entered it in like 4 competitions. Um, First score came back as like a 27. The next one came back as like a 32, 34. Then the next one came back as a 37, and then finally a 42.5. From my understanding, I missed the medal by point 0.5 points. So that was really tight there, I'm sure. But where does that beer really lie, after it's all said and done? So that was kind of wild and slightly disappointing in my book, because I don't think that there was really a consistent judging there. So keep that in mind when you're turning things in for competitions. That you got to take all that stuff with a grain of salt. They're trying to personalize or objectify a personal experience with your brew, and you know, uh, I'll just leave it at that. So 140, we're shooting for 158. So we're getting pretty close here. So what else is new with you guys? Anything cool coming out on anybody's channel? Anybody looking forward to anything in particular? Anybody got anything they want to know? I guess about me. Got a Dunkelwise posting tonight. Okay, cool. I'll be sure to check that out. My next release will be, I put some homebrews back for about a year, and so I'm going to reevaluate those, go through the tasting notes, see if they're better, if they're worse, and all that. I mean, I already know the results. That's already set for release this coming Thursday, so be on the lookout for that. So Dunkelwise, tell me a little bit about that one. I'm not very familiar with that style, if you don't mind. In case you've also missed it, this is the third entry for the advent calendar that my friends and we put together. This is one that I entered, Left Blonde. Uh, I've had it before. I thought my friends would enjoy it, and so far so good. Everybody seems to like it. German dark wheat. Yep, German dark wheat. I don't think I've ever really had that one. Maybe, can't remember. Can't remember if Speeding Bullet, if that was the one that he sent me or not. Now it's been a minute. 152, getting pretty close. So anybody that's still in here, what systems do you brew on? This is my primary setup, the Anvil Direct Fire 10-gallon kettle. So I've brewed a lot of beer with this thing. I've probably got um, I don't know, 120 batches or so through it, maybe thereabouts. Not really sure. Kind of quit keeping track after starting the YouTube channel. Right. Coming in real close. I'm gonna go ahead and put my bag in for the grains. about that 158 on the dot. So it's time to mash in these grains. It's mostly Belgian Pilsner malt, Pilsner, uh, torrefied wheat, and rye malt. Love this smell of mashing in with malt. One of the best smells in the world, in my opinion. Really love it. Righty. Almost got this all in there. All right, got mashed in. Let's catch up on some comments here. Let's see here. Northwest. I'm on the 120 volt claw hammer. It's brewed with rye. I feel like I wouldn't like. Oh, I haven't brewed with rye. I feel like I wouldn't like the flavor of it. Um, I really enjoy the flavor of rye and everything that it brings to uh, the malt bill. Really, I kind of like a little bit of that spiciness and the clove aspect of it. I think it kind of depends on the recipe that you're using it in. I think it can help add some of that complexity to things like stouts and whatnot. It just kind of seems to add a good amount of complexity to almost anything. Um, the problem with brewing with rye is in large quantities, you start to get that stuck mash and all that goes with like the gummy cereal grains, kind of like similar to oats and whatnot. I recommend trying rye, at least in something. I throw rye in quite a few recipes. My stouts sometimes have them. All these saison farmhouses have them. Uh, Kentucky Common, I'll throw it in there. Hey, what's up, Dean? For those of you that don't know Dean, my buddy Dean here is an employee of a newly opened local homebrew store. He's a pretty awesome guy. He's done a lot of things in homebrewing, some professional stuff. Welcome, Dean. Um, we're brewing a farmhouse, that collaboration that we spoke about earlier with another homebrew channel, Cascade Homebrew. Uh, this one's earmarked for that Farmageddon quake. So I'm gonna no chill this thing, let it get down to about 90 degrees or so, transfer it over, and then run it up to about 93, 95 degrees, wherever the quake wants to take it, and we'll go from there. No problem, Dean. So Dean works for Seta Homebrew, or sorry, Seta Home. What is it? Seta Homebrew or Hub, Seta Hub Homebrew. I can't remember the name right off the top of my head, but these two people are probably the most passionate people that I know, as far as homebrewing goes, in my circle of friends and whatnot. So Dean, we just mashed in. We're on the clock now, buddy. 75 minutes. So we'll be checking this temperature. I think it's time for me to get a chair because I'm tired of squatting here. Oh. So, Dean, we talked about things like entering competitions, who had what going on for this year coming up. I know you talked about you were going to start entering some stuff. Northwest, do you put anything into competitions or anything like that? Additionally, sorry for any of the ambient noise. It's kind of hot today, so the AC's running. I'm not too far away from the AC units. Um, I don't know how my voice is coming across here. If you guys can hear me all right or not, seems like decently enough, anyways. So I'm surprised the chickens aren't complaining about they want their grain yet. Um, we'll probably hear some neighborhood dogs and kids here, I'm sure, before too much longer. So sorry about any of the ambient noise, but just the excuse me, just the joys of being a home brewer in a neighborhood that does outside. I don't do competitions. I like the idea of getting good feedback, but not really. Okay, nothing wrong with that, man. Um, I mostly do it a little bit for the feedback, and hopefully one day I'll I'll get some kind of achievement for all my hard work that I've put in the form of a medal that kind of helps my local brew club with some bragging rights and whatnot. But mostly do it for the feedback because I'm always trying to be better. I'm not gonna say that I'm the best brewer out there, but I try really hard at it anyways. So. Um, Dean, what do you do while you wait for your strike water to come up or you're mashing in? I normally stir a lot while I wait around. So if you see me, I just can't stand it anymore, and I've got to stir that mash. Um, because I brew in a bag, I mostly double mill my grains, so to help increase that efficiency and whatnot. But I always feel like there's a little bit left on the table if I don't stir and whatnot. So, yep, that's it. Didn't really have a plan for today. Just figured I would kind of chat with you guys and get the feel for this whole live stream thing. I like to do a little bit more of it more often. I do have a question for you. Do you have any issues with find it most common issue? It's hard to avoid with certain grains. Maybe I need some yeast yeast nutrient. So as far as thanks, Dean. This is the old style. My mom made a run of those. I'll get back to you in just a second, Northwest. My mom made a bunch of these for my Christmas present last year, so I've handed a few of them out. I don't have a whole lot of them left. The new design is the logo that's currently displayed for my channel. Um, I'm thinking about doing some pre-orders on some shirts. I'm gonna call these like the legacy shirts, and then the new ones kind of just the new style or whatever. But so Northwest. So I use yeast nutrients in every brew that I do. Now, as far as when it comes to quake, I double up on those nutrients. With quake, it seems to like 1055 beer or up. It really seems to struggle at like 1052. I brew a lot with quake. I've kind of broken that habit over the last year, throwing quake in everything. I've tried to kind of been getting more and more in tune to like to style and things like that. As far as that off flavor though, I don't really know that I've picked up on that any or not, to tell you the truth. Do you have any kind of um, descriptors of what that would be? Um, Raise the temp at the end of your fermentation and it'll scrub out. That's a good hint. Um, I do a lot of like room temp. Oh, okay, green apple. Yeah, so I've gotten some of that, especially with like some of the loggers, which was kind of disappointing to me. My Marzen had it, um, but it went away during bottling. Um, I'm trying to think. Let's see here. I think the Dunkelsbach I had, it had a little bit of that, and it went away after I bottled it. So I guess that is one that can be scrubbed out. Um, like I said, I'm not really familiar with that I can pinpoint it. I should be better at being able to pick up all those off flavors and where they come from, but I'm kind of terrible of it. What's up, Venture? My buddy Ramon. If y'all don't know Venture is a pretty awesome guy. He's another local homebrewer to me that I know personally. We did a collaboration video where we exchanged some beers and talked about brewing with Clake and some other stuff. He's a Estonian. I'm probably about a good 30 miles or so outside of Houston. So I it sucks when there's something like that going on where I want to go see some friends or something like that. But I enjoy kind of being in the more rural area for the most part. Let's see here. So, cidery taste. Yeah, I've picked up on that just a few times, but like I said, I mean, it seems to have scrubbed out during bottle conditioning. Yeah, yeah. I guess if you have the temperature control, um, I aerate pretty heavily. I normally will take a little bit of my wort and pour it into the fermenter, and then I'll pitch my yeast on top of that, and then I just open the valve and let it rip, and that way all that oxygen gets in that wort and mixes up with that yeast pretty good. Normally with my fermentation, I have it going pretty quickly, so maybe that um, maybe that has something to do with it. I don't use yeast. I don't use yeast nutrients, mostly high gravity beers. So yeah, I I throw a lot of yeast nutrients. Define room temperature though. So room temperature for us at home is about 70 to 72 degrees. Um, I don't like to sweat inside my house. I run hot a lot. Let's see here. So Coming up on the first 15 minutes of this mash, and I really feel that urge to stir the mash here. See here. Yeah, I brewed my last beer at 65, so it was a little cold. I've started like my loggers and stuff like that at like 62, 55 or whatever, and I always end up bringing them up to room temperature for like a week. Um, Anytime that I've used my cold or my cool fermentation setup. So um, I don't know. Maybe I've been lucky with that. Like I said, though, there's been a few brews where I have picked up on it when it comes time to packaging, but I've been lucky. I usually leave beers an extra week in the fermenter, so yeah, I do too. I don't know what everybody's schedule is normally, like when beer is ready or whatever. Most of the time, most of my stuff sits in the fermenter for anywhere between 3 weeks and a month. There's been a few that I've let ride out for a little bit longer than that just because I don't feel like bottling or kegging it at that point in time. Um, a lot of the sour stuff that I've done have ran, like 3 months in the fermenter or whatever, just to give that bread a chance to really get going, and things like that I've done. Now I haven't like really done like super hardcore Brett beers or anything like that. I took that one um, farmhouse example, and I built up a starter off of some bottle drags of that, and that one took 3 months to go. The coast to coast, I think it took about a month and a half for it to finish out. Let's see here, I'm trying to think of any of the other sour type beers that I've done that have had bacteria or bugs in them or whatever. That's the only ones that come straight off my mind there. Um, the only ones though that I've really kind of sped up was the raw ale ones. That first raw ale that I did, I think I had that uh, bottled. Let's see here. I ran it at 95 degrees for a week. I pulled it out of my heating fermentation setup. It stalled out. It took back off after a couple days of after pulling it out of that. So it ran for another week. So that one was in the fermenter for about 3 weeks, and I bottled it, and man, it was fully carved up and ready to go within a week, which was kind of crazy to me. Man, that beer was tasted really good, so that was pretty awesome. Northwest, I leave mine a month in the fermenter. Yeah, yeah. Generally, I'm not in a too big of a hurry. Even though I do enjoy to use Quake, most of the times I'm not really looking for speed with Quake. A lot of times I'm normally trying to get those esters, and so I'll underpitch it. I'll run it hot and double up on the yeast nutrients, and that seems to really work really well there. So things like the Kentucky Common, the Rogan Beer, a lot of those that I use non-quake strains for the fermentation, those will normally sit around for about a month in the fermenter, just give them a chance to kind of clean up and clear out and let that yeast bed get kind of stacked up. I don't really cold crash anything when I go bottle, because like I said, most of the time I'm fermenting at room temp, so I don't really worry about that too much. Um, now that I'm kegging, though, I guess some of that becomes naturally cold crashed while it's in the keg. So there's that. Now, when it comes to that cool fermentation, that setup that I have with like the all rounder with the 10 twister and the probe, and all that, then I will try to cold crash that as best I can with that system before transferring it to my kegs or my bottling setup. I will try to get going on that pretty quickly, though. My only problem with the way that that thing's set up is so it's the all rounder temp twister, temp probe, anvil temp controller, and then I have a cooler that I have like a little pond pump in, and I'll ice that thing down with as much ice as I can get in there, and then I put a little water in there for circulation. Um, so if I'm fermenting with that thing at about 50 degrees or so, 55 degrees or above, I have to change out the ice like twice a day. Now, if I try to run it and like cold crash it at like say 38, 40s thereabouts, man, that thing just becomes such an ice hog to where I've got to change out that ice, like 3 to 4 times a day, and so that becomes almost unmanageable at that point in time. Even though I have like as much access to uh, free ice as possible through my work, we have an ice machine there, so sometimes I'm encouraged to take as much ice as I want to, so that thing kind of keeps rolling and all that. So I'm lucky in that regard, but it still sucks to change that much ice out a day. Kind of having to run home for my lunch break and change out ice and all that. That kind of starts to suck. Um, so Yep. Eventually, hopefully, I can come up with. I'd seen some people do like some homemade glycol chillers. The more kind of professional ones, or ones for sale commercially. They're kind of expensive, and I mean, it's I'll get there eventually. But I'm kind of more about like what I can do here and do it cheaply and efficiently, and all that kind of stuff, and kind of have a little bit more DIY aspect to the things that I do. So Northwest, I should do a cold IPA. I've had like two cold IPAs, and they were both good. I'm not a huge IPA fan. If I gotta drink an IPA, it's gotta be like the juicy or hazy type IPAs. I don't really care for the West Coast IPAs. Just they always seem to kind of nuke my palate a little bit. Even kind of like the lower grade West Coast IPAs. Um, IPL. Uh oh, there you go, starting a war. No, but cold IPAs. I'm gonna attempt one eventually. It's on the list to do. It's just kind of down there. Let's see here. 350. Let me check the temperature real quick on the mash tun. So seems like we've got a couple more people in here. Welcome. Um, Feel free to comment and add anything that you guys want to do here. I've had a few that are pretty great. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to learn how to appreciate more and more styles. When I first started homebrewing, the kit that I got was the Northern Brewer Block Party, so like the Budweiser type knockoff. Um, that was okay. Looking back on it, it was an okay beer. Of course, when I first did it, man, it was the most amazing thing that you can experience. Then I kind of fell into the Hefeweizen, and I definitely agree with you, Gnome, and we'll circle back to that in just a moment. Uh, so, but as far as uh, after that, I started doing a bunch of Hefeweizens and stouts primarily, and most of them were kits and whatnot. And then I switched over to all grain brewing. Kind of did some Hefeweizens there, blondes. Kind of started to branch out a little bit, but still kind of get stuck in a rut. Like just doing like Kentucky Commons, doing blondes, stouts, Hefeweizens, the occasional maybe like some kind of Oktoberfest or something like that. Um, so um, I really didn't branch way out there with brewing until probably last year. Really started to um, try a lot of the Belgian type stuff and whatnot. And I really think that I found kind of like a little bit of a preference there. Definitely enjoy the saisons, the farmhouses, doubles and some of the triples, quads, that kind of stuff. But man, there's just so much good beer out there. You just kind of got to try them all and figure out what you like, and sometimes you'll be surprised. Um, as far as saisons go, what's your take, Gnome and Matt? And Gnome, I think, had a pretty good point. All we need is saison. So, um, I I'm not a big IPA fan, and a lot of people that say that they like IPA, it's like I get it and I respect that and all that. But like if you say like, oh, like IPA is the most refreshing beer there is, have you tried a saison? You know, you can do a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of flavor profiles and expressions and stuff that you can put in there. As far as the French versus Belgian, um, I don't really know, man. I kind of am a fan of a lot of things, and I've had a lot of beer styles opened up to me. As far as the French saison yeast or whatnot, the fun culture, yeah. Man, if you would have told me, 2, 3 years ago that I would have enjoyed something that was sour or funky uh, to drink, I don't know if I would have believed you. But now you can't almost out funk or sour me. Like the worst offender that it is at this point, like the more I kind of almost enjoy it. It seems like um, my favorite yeast as far as strains go right now for like the farmhouse and saisons and stuff go are like the Yavaro farmhouse there, the Lithuanian farmhouse. I really love that yeast. It's a very clean, nice drinking beer. It was basically our jam, our summer jam for the last 2 years running. I've probably brewed that thing about 8 times or so. I really love that thing. Um, Northwest, I'm a stout guy. I love stouts. I drink stouts year round. I do not see a problem with that. As a matter of fact, about 2 years ago, um, so I do like a rye Irish stout out of Michael Dawson's Mash Maker's book, and that I brew that every year, and I've slowly transitioned that recipe and kind of to my own uh, there. Now that having said that, like it's kind of like the same recipe, but it's different. I've had to change up the hops in it. I had to change up the yeast. I had to change up the malts for things that I could find relatively easy. And so the latest iteration and the one that I think is going to stick, and my my lovely wife there pointed it out, was the Irish Stout. That thing, that thing, that Irish Stout is my recipe now. Like that's it. I've locked that in. I'm gonna do some different things with it for like secondary fermentation stuff that I think will be pretty cool. Um, but for the next go around. Let's see here. Gnome, the Lithuanian farmhouse yeast, do it. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. That thing is a beast. I think it has a very nice complexity to it. Um, Nice smooth drinking beer that's got the right amount of citrus to it. I'm not a big citrus fan, but it's just enough to kind of get get going. Let's see here, Dean. The tropical stout is probably my favorite as far as styles of stouts go. So tropical stouts, I tried to do one. It came out okay. I was happy with it. Really, to tell you the truth, the more it set around, the better it got, in my opinion. So that was a fun brew. I think I missed the mark a little bit. It was a little bit like accurate, like some of those coffee notes and stuff like that. Like it was bitter from the dark grains and stuff like that. And so Dean and I were talking about that not too long ago, and Dean suggested that to throw in like kind of like those dark grains towards the end of the mash and whatnot. And so I think I'm going to try that out next time. That recipe needs a little bit of tweaking. I think it's close, but if I could get kind of get that sorted out. Hey Cascade, how's it going, bud? See here, Venture. Everyone should join the all Route Style Club. Yeah, so Venture, or well, just everybody, anyways. So back to kind of like part of the story that I was trying to tell was about 2 3 years ago. I messed up on the Irish Stout about 2 years ago now, and I mashed way too high. So after everything was said and done with fermentation, it came out to be like a 3.5% stout. And to tell you the truth, that thing was freaking good. That thing was amazing. And so we started building that chicken coop out there. And so I took a 6 pack out there and I started drinking them as I was building. And my wife was like, "Hey, like, how many of those you gonna drink?" I was like, "All of them," and I'm not gonna feel guilty because they're 3.5% ABV stouts. So that was a really good beer to have around. Let's see here. Cascade. Hey, Matt, you motivated me to pour a sample of my Saison off the keg. It is not fully carbonated yet, but getting there. Cool. Let's see here. Cold steep them overnight or throw them in at the end of the mash. Still trekking along pretty good. Let's see here. We're closing in on what the first 30 minutes of the mash. So we'll have about 45 minutes to go here in a little bit. So let's see here. For those that didn't maybe catch it earlier, today's brew is the second beer for the Cascade and my collaboration here. He's already got his beers done. I'm still working on mine. Kind of had a lot of stuff going on, so uh, kind of behind the eight ball a little bit. But after talking to him, it's all good. We'll get this one knocked out. So with that quake, hopefully it'll be done a little bit quicker, and I can move on to bottling. The first edition for my entry in this was going to be with the noble yeast, or sorry, rustic, imperial rustic. That yeast let me down once before. I didn't think that it was very complex and stuff. You know, I've never really pulled a lot of that like um, bubble gum flavor out of the like saisons and stuff like that, and so um, that was supposed to be like one of those noted profiles that the yeast would throw at it. Maybe I didn't have the right fermentation temperatures for that. There, we'll see with this one what we can do. I've got something interesting planned for a split batch of that. I really haven't told a whole lot of people about it. Cascade doesn't know what I'm doing there, so if you know, zip it. We'll see how that turns out. I think that'll be pretty fun. Let's see here, session sour pastry. Man, I don't know. So what's everybody brewing next? Northwest, what you got coming along? Gnome said that he was doing Lithuanian, Dean, Cascade, Venture. What you guys brewing coming up? Hey, party time, you still here? What are you brewing next? Really appreciate all y'all hopping in, coming in here, hanging out with me. This has been fun so far. Hopefully, we can do this kind of thing a little bit more often and have fun with that. For them, it's definitely that farmhouse strain tomorrow or Monday. I'm brewing a big barley wine. Yes, yes. Wee heavy will be my next. Nice, nice. I haven't done a wee heavy. Wee heavy's kind of on the hit list. It'll probably happen before cold IPA, cold IPL, or whatever that is. Um, let's see here. Barley wine. I want to do a barley wine here at some point in time. I've my next big beer is gonna be it's gonna be weird. For those that have had it, maybe you haven't had it. Boulevard does a rye on rye ale. I really love that thing. I not necessarily a clone, but something inspired by it is going to be something that I want to do there. So because I'm limited with the things like my mash size and whatnot, what I'll probably end up doing is I think I'm going to try to get as much grain into that as possible, and then I think I'm going to use some of that. Like rye malt extract to really kind of bump up the ABV on it and get all those fermentables in there and still kind of keep that rye taste in there. Let's see here. I have a great oaked barley wine on my channel. I'm gonna check that out, Northwest. I've been trying to catch everybody's stuff, and I kind of suck at it, trying to keep up with everybody's now. I'm subscribed to so many channels. There's so many great content out there. I think Northwest. I think I just recently found your channel a couple months ago. I've viewed some videos, but man, I've got a large backlog of videos that I need to watch. But I'll try to move that up to the next couple deal that I watch. Cascade. I added another 4 pounds of hops to my freezer from that yucca Holly cell, so I need to get motivated to brew lots of hoppy beers. Um, I just recently got that vacuum sealer, so I'm gonna try to start buying hops a little bit better or more at bulk price and store those away. Now, having said that, I have like a shit ton of hops that I need to get rid of. So I see some IPAs, IPLs, I whatever's coming up here at some point in time. So we'll get those hops knocked out some way or another. I thought about trying to use some and try to make some kind of like lambic style uh, beer with some pellets. I don't know how that'll go with like aging those and abusing those. So, FYI, if the stream cuts off pretty soon or randomly, got some kind of dark clouds. I'm brewing under uh, my canopy here. It's got some holes in it, so if uh, if it starts to rain because of all this equipment that I have out here, I'm gonna have to move that stuff pretty quickly. Just FYI. Let's see here. It's gonna be weird. Yep, yep, it will be. Let's see here. Venture home brewing. Venture, I think, has a barley wine going. Citrus and me, all your citrus. I don't. I think I've got some Citra stored away, but I think I have it earmarked for something particular. I need to go back and kind of look at some of my upcoming brews and figure out what I'm doing. I've got some pretty cool beers, at least I think, coming up here pretty soon. Let's see here.
There's like a blue jay. Super annoying.
There's a super annoying blue jay. Let's see here. Let me check this temperature here. Alrighty. So, what else is going on with everybody? Feel free to comment here. Um, if anybody's got any questions that they want to know about my setups or how I handle things or whatever. Venture, Lost Five. Venture, Lost Five Wi Fi will eventually brew the Brazilian brown ale. Yes. So, Venture and I, we know each other pretty well. We exchange a lot of text messages and stuff like that. We've bumped into each other quite a few places. Venture is probably one of my best friends at this point in time in my life, and I'm really lucky to have a friend like him. So Venture has been kind enough to extend this brew day here for this Brazilian nut brown ale. That he's like, dude, you kind of like these obscure things and these weird deals, come join me here on this. And so, Venture is Roman, or sorry, Ramon. He's an awesome dude, and man, he's really awesome guy to know. And man, this dude, uh, he's he's just awesome to bounce some ideas off of. And but he invited me to be able to do this. Our schedules just haven't been able to match up very easily here the last little bit. He's got a lot going on. I've got a lot going on. So look for Venture to kind of start hanging out with me a little bit more on the channel. Maybe me a little bit on his channel. Um, he has a primarily Spanish channel. It's a little harder for me to follow along on. I'm not that great at Espanol. I know poquito, so I can follow along a little bit, but there's some stuff I need some help on, some translations and stuff. But really really an awesome guy. Let's see here, Northwest Batch. Have you? Yes. Those guys, Craft Brew Channel, they're in England, and I've watched both of those Trappist uh, videos, and man, they're pretty good. They covered my favorite Trappist brewery, the Rockfort. I really enjoy all their beers. I'm kind of waiting for that Westmole episode to happen. Their second episode, I can't remember what that one was called. I watched it the other night, but I'll be looking out for that beer. That seems pretty interesting. Um, they had a video too on IPAs that was really interesting, and so their video on IPAs was like, if you want a really like more historic or quote unquote traditional, what it used to be IPA, look for the Orval uh, Trappist beer. Uh, all the Brett and stuff that's in that's really what an IPA was like back in the day. Um, I've got a few of those stashed away in my my beer storage uh, cabinet, and I did not necessarily a clone, but an inspiration to that with the escarpment yeast, the Valor blend, and so it's got some bread in it, and it's got some Saccharomyces in it as well. And so I'm looking forward to that beer. That's been put in the bottles probably about 3 4 months now, something like that. So it'll be close to pop one of those and kind of compare it to one of the Orvels. I look forward to that. Northwest. Oh, nice. I have a degree in Spanish. Yes, you do need to go sub to that channel. He needs as many people to check out his channel and really enjoy what he's about. You will probably not meet a nicer gentleman in your whole life. Ramon, I guarantee you would give you the shirt off his back if he felt like that's what you really needed in life to be successful. I cannot say enough nice things about him. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met, and sometimes I'm like, dude, like, why are we even friends? I'm a terrible person. I'm a horrible influence. uh, let's see here. We're closing up. We'll almost have about 30 minutes left in the mash here pretty soon. Let me check this temperature here, guys. So the good thing is when it's kind of warm and hot here in Texas, don't really have to do a whole lot of adjusting to the mash tun for temperature. So that's pretty nice. Last brew day, I kind of had to relight my kettle a couple times to keep that going. Uh, and the wind was terrible. It affected a little bit of my bowl off rate, and so I had to do some adjustments on the fly there. I wasn't really happy about, but it is what it is. Um, you know, not a whole lot that you can do about it when you're kind of out here on a direct fire setup and trying to figure out and keep going. You know, man. Thank you, Venture. That really means a lot. You know, I just try to do what I can, and I want to help be another kind of source to the community and help it out as much as possible. You know, I do what I can to help out the people that I can. You know, but I don't know everything. You know, it's still learning quite a bit, like everybody else. So, you know, that really means a lot. Thanks, Ramon. I really appreciate that. Let's see here. So, um, for my birthday beers, I've got the Thin Mint Stout. Again, that's kegged and on tap. Took a sneak peek of that yesterday. Got the Lithuanian Farmhouse. Will be kegging here pretty soon. And my birthday stout will be kegged here pretty soon. Let's see here. Beers that I've got left to kind of film and video. I've got the Marzen to do here pretty soon. Um, uh, the Valor. That'll be something that I need to film here pretty soon. Let's see here. I'm gonna do another Berliner. I want to enter this year in competitions. I think I've about got that style figured out, pretty close to it, anyways. Regardless of what some of those earlier score sheets said this last year, so that'll be pretty fun to see if the judges agree or not. They're um, so I think I've got one more brew day left in me for this year. Don't know of anything else off the top of my head as far as my brew schedule. I need to start figuring out next year's stuff, next year's content. If anybody's got anything there, they're wanting me to do there or suggestions other than cold IPA or cold IPL, let me know. Let's see here. We'd love to see your take on porters, especially the things you like rye. Porters, I did a pre-prohibition porter last year, entered that into competitions. I still have some of that left over. Man, that beer when it was, I guess, quote unquote finished, I wasn't very happy with it. Um, but then again, I'm not happy with most of my beers immediately, anyways. Um, Over time, that thing has kind of turned out to be a very good thing. Um, Porters, to me, I mean, are great, but it's one of those things. If I can have a porter or a stout, I'd almost rather have a stout, even though those lines are somewhat blurred a little bit. Not really sure about that. Um, you could do a stout with cherries. Just go get a bag of frozen cherries from Costco. Uh, so yeah, there's there's a stout that I have kind of earmarked for some cherries that is going to be a special beer. I have like 5 pages of ideas and brews put to the side there, and I'm interested in doing, and that's one there. I don't want to give too much away and ruin too many surprises. I like to try to keep some kind of surprise there. But yeah, so that's kind of already earmarked for something particular there. Now, with fruit though, I had a decent amount of luck with fruit up until shoot, what, about a year and a half ago or so now. I did a Berliner, and I used cherries and blackberries or blueberries. I can't remember. I want to say I think it was blueberries and cherries. Anyways, so everything was frozen but 1 pound of cherries, and it had gotten infected in the secondary fermentation, and it had turned into vinegar basically, and the only thing that I can source that outcome to was for from the 1 pound of fresh cherries. I didn't freeze them. That was, I guess, my bad. I thought they were fresh enough, and that I'd rinsed them off well enough, and all that. So I have nobody to blame but myself there. So that kind of sucked. We still have some of that fancy vinegar stored away. So I don't know. Maybe I should revisit that on a video. That might be interesting to throw it on a salad or something. It was all three. Okay, I guess I forgot about that. So, for those that don't know, Christy is my wife, and she, in fact, does not want to drink all my beers. She tries pretty much every single one of those, uh, but but she doesn't really enjoy them. She's not that big of a beer drinker. She she if she tells me, "Oh, that's good," then I know I knocked it out of the park. If she's like, kind of wishy washy about it, then I know I probably got a little bit of work to do. But yeah. So let's see here. You do like the sours, yes. When I did the Health Saison beer, that was that bottle drag experiment from the Farmhouse yeast culture that I built up. She was like, "Oh my god." Well, first she was like, "Oh my god, that looks disgusting," when she saw the fermenter, and then she said, "Oh my god, that is awesome. You should brew nothing but this. I can drink one sour and then I'm done." I can understand that, and I can respect that for sure. But there's different types of sours, and so like anything that's like kettle sour, I think is more enjoyable for those that don't really enjoy sours. I think that a lot of people can get behind those a little bit more frequently. Now, when we start talking about like mixed fermentation, things with like Brett, a little bit of lacto, PDO, and things like that. That's where I really enjoy sours. I like that um, the expression that a lot of those things give and whatnot. And I think that they're very dynamic and expressive. But I can see where like those can kind of really mess with people as far as like that sour input on your tongue or mess with your stomach a little bit. There's been a lot of sour work that I've done. A lot of it's been kettle sour, and I think I tried to bring some complexity back to kettle souring when I did like that SCOBY sour with the kombucha, and then see everyone, see how awesome. Yeah, there you go, right there. But I tried to bring some complexity back to kettle souring with that SCOBY kombucha deal, and I think that in essence it worked out well there. Um, but with souring and like these bacterias and bugs and stuff like that we use, there's different souring. Like 3.4, 3.2 with just lacto is different than that pH of 3.4, 3.6, 3.2 with than what it is with like Brett and PDO and like the kombucha, SCOBY and stuff like that. And so the complexity is kind of different, and so I think that there's still some work to be done, anyways, as far as investigating brewing that that I do there. I've got some more questions still there about like, hey, what can we do with the SCOBY? What can we do with some Brett and stuff like that? And so um, I think that there's a lot to be said there, and still try to wrap my head around like, well, what's the difference of the souring techniques and methods, stuff like the um, um, lambics and whatnot, those things can kind of get one way or the other too, and I don't know. I guess I kind of maybe lost the where I was going with that. So big surprise there, right? Oh, let's see here. Cascade. I have a couple slightly sour stouts. They're pretty good. Tart side of the is one I recall. Have you brewed any darker sours? I did there my brew club and past homebrew store. They kind of came together, and it was a grab bag, and it was you had to use a little bit at least of each ingredient in your grab bag. And so I had gotten double roasted uh, malts, and then I can't remember everything in there, but it had ginger in it. And those that know me know that ginger is my like nemesis. I hate ginger. I can pick it out in almost anything that ginger is in. If my Chinese food has ginger in it and I can't pick it out, I will throw it away because ginger is very offensive to my palate. So ginger was in my grab bag, and so going through the malts that they provided in there and the hops that were in there, and then the ginger, I was like, oh, what can I do? So I did a dark saison, and I used something like a quarter ounce of the ginger, and then I went ahead and got a whole ounce of juniper berries, and I threw that in there. Um, and I made the dark saison with that, and that was the first experiment that I used that culture with from the Farmhouse yeast collection that I did, and it turned out very sour. It was very like lock jaw abrasive, with the sourness and the tartness that it had. It had this gnarly looking pellicle on the top. So I thought that that was a success there. I bottled that up. I waited probably about 3 months or so before I turned it into that little uh, contest, I guess it was. Everybody enjoyed it. It the that tartness, that like lockjaw sourness that it had kind of tapered off, and it turned into a very decent sour. And then I probably didn't touch that beer again for another 3 months. So at that point, it had been in the bottle for about 6 months, and it was still fairly decent. And then I put it up, and I completely forgot about that beer until probably here just recently. And so at that point, that thing had been in the bottle for about a year and a half. Some of them were skunked. Some of them, the bottles, I guess I didn't get a good crimp on because I tried to reuse some of those like big 750 bottles, and I guess I didn't have the right caps to those. So some of them weren't sealed up that great, and they were kind of oxidized and terrible and whatnot. Uh, so I think I I was just over that beer anyways. I got too many more like better beers out there, stacked away, or on tap, or whatever, and so I poured it all out. That was my first, I think, experimentally though into like the mixed fermentation deal, and the first buildup of that yeast culture. I still have that yeast culture in the fridge. It's in its own mason jar. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that thing. Um, I, I don't really know. I've kind of been tempted about trying to maybe do another dark saison farmhouse with it. But that one, the Hell Saison, I ended up starting over from scratch with basically fresh bottles of farmhouse saisons, with that, and kind of blending those together for a yeast pitch there, because the first one was so successful, but I didn't want to bring over anything from that dark saison fermentation the into that other project. I wanted to start clean basically with that beer. A lot of the stuff like that though, we have questions about what the blend is there. So originally, the two yeast cultures that they blended together for the sack strains were a Belgian saison strain and a French saison strain. And then they walked around their property and took some like leaf samples and fruit samples and stuff like that, and they found some different bacterias in there, and so there's a lot going on in there. And then they blended that with their yeast cultures that they have been using primarily, and then on top of that, they just have kind of let that yeast culture evolve into its own thing. And so, I was kind of wondering, I don't know, but I was kind of wondering, like, if I should try to use, like this recipe again in a project, fermented out with, like USO5 or some clean yeast, and then throw that on top of it to make sure that it's fermenting out all the way, and all that, and that it's just not straight things like the Brett or the PDO that's in that strain, making all the work out of everything, or maybe try to come up with my own blend of Brett and some PDO, like USO5. I think that might be a fun experiment to do later on, kind of when I've got some other equipment and other things out of the way that I can devote just some time to. I would love to get something like a barrel like Gnome's got, and kind of do like a big old like Russian Imperial stout in it first, and then maybe do like a barley wine, and then like maybe do an amber ale, and then kind of do a saison type deal in it, and then just infect it and let it roll, and kind of maybe have some kind of like Solora type project run through it. I think that would be pretty cool. So um, who knows? When I'll finally nail down that idea and all that kind of stuff. To make whiskey. Oops. Yeah, um, make whiskey. Wish I could, and that's all I'm gonna say. Let's see here. We're at 150, and we've got, let's see here, I think about 15 ish minutes left. Not today, Mr. ATF. All right. So I got about 15 minutes left uh, in the mash. I think, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I think it's time to maybe go get a sample of that Thin Mint Stout and show that off for a minute. So I'll be right back. Y'all watch this kettle for me. So here's my Thin Mint Stout. And I've got to take it easy with this one. This one's turned out to be really good. This is the fourth pour out of that keg. I've got a week to go till my birthday, so I need to either disconnect that uh, keg from the tap, or I need to get a keg lock. Mandatory. Actually, I don't like mandatory beer jug. I like to enjoy my beer. I do too. There's some that probably should be chugged, but this ain't one of them. So that mint really came through really good. It's man, I'm super happy with this one. Super happy with this one. So yeah, so the mint came through really well. I used 4 ounces of fresh mint for this thing. Uh, the so it was 4 ounces of packaged mint. Um, After I pulled the leaves off the stems and all that, it ended up being right at an ounce went into the boil towards the end. And then the other 2 ounces, after the leaves were pulled off the stems, was about another ounce. And that went into a homemade tincture for some extract there. And that really smelled very good. I used some Texas vodka for to help extract that, and then I had another tincture going with the cocoa nibs and vanilla beans there. And so when I was figuring out the ratio there, I had a certain percentage there that I was shooting for, and then when it came time to keg it, I was about half off on both deals there. So I probably should have made some more extract, but because I'm under a time crunch with this, I rolled with it. And really, I mean, I couldn't be happier with this thing. So it's got very good mint aroma right off the top, and then you pick up on the chocolate and the cocoa nibs. Nice medium um, mouthfeel there. Um, there's a lot of rye in this one, um, and then so it's got kind of like this nice transition from the mint to kind of like that dark chocolate, not milk chocolate. So I guess originally in my head I had it ideally a little bit more kind of the milk chocolate than I did the dark chocolate. I ain't mad at this. This is really good, guys. This is hella good. And the base recipe off of this is different than my normal stout recipe. Um, I was trying to help make sure that um, some like that cookie and stuff would come across um, as well as it did. So I threw in some of that rye and stuff like that. And I think that the rye helps complement the mint leaves that I threw in here and helped kind of elevate a little bit of that like chocolate and stuff. Let's see here. So was any girls? So I I didn't use any Girl Scout cookies. I was thinking about it, but I just didn't have any available there. I did think about running down to Aldi's and getting the knockoffs there. Those are pretty dang delicious, and using those. But I was just like, man, let me use as many raw ingredients that I can in this beer and see how it turns out. I wouldn't say that it's like thin mint, um, that it's like thin mint Girl Scout cookie taste. I would put it more of like those, what is it, Andes mint, chocolate mint um, candies like that. That's kind of more along the lines of where it's at. Yes, so she has been having a hard time convincing me to not drink more of it. This is one of very few beers that she was like, "Oh my god, I really enjoy this." CH was talking about making a thin mint stout earlier today. He said he wants to know more. Um, yeah. So this video will be out here pretty soon, but if you or CH want to hit me up, I'll throw you guys an advanced copy of the recipe and kind of some of my notes on that if you guys want to. Let's see here. I prefer beer than. Yeah. Well, you know, I I wish I could have beer a little bit more often throughout the day, but you know. So let's see here. Still right at 150, and I've already lost track of kind of where we should have been in that 75-minute mash. Um, let's just go ahead and let it run out to for another 10 minutes while we chat here. So, anybody got any favorite commercial beers that if they could just only have one, that would be it, um, to rest them the rest of their life? I think for me, it'd be a really hard toss up But I think, man, so there was the Rye on Rye from Boulevard is pretty far up there for me. Uh, Locally here, Valenson's does an oatmeal stout. Uh, that would probably be in my top five. Um, see here. Yesterday for our advent calendar that me and my friends put together, there was a pilsner from the um, Independence Brewing Company called Native Texan, and oh my god, that was delicious. Um, I need to go pick up a couple 6 packs of that to have here. That's probably been my favorite pilsner at this point that I've ever had. I've Now I haven't had like tons and tons of pilsners because mostly a stout and Hefeweizen type guy, and also Farmhouse and saison and stuff like that. But I would say that beer is pretty damn good. Let's see here. Jester King, their saisons and farmhouses would probably flush out the rest of the top five for me. Out of that five, man, it'd be a really hard toss up for me now that I'm trying to put pen to paper uh, there, and I think it would be a toss up between the Jester King and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, Boulevard Rye on Rye. Uh, Man, I don't know which I would choose there. Let's see here. Before I crack open a beer, Samuel Smith oatmeal stout and the or yes. So man, that's a toss up between their oatmeal stout and that chocolate beer that they have. That's the both of those are phenomenal. Those are really really good, really really good. Let's see here, Firestone, salted caramel. How do you feel about the salted caramel beers? A lot of those things they don't really come across very well to me. They kind of got like that like fake kind of taste to them. Back pews stout isn't, yeah, very close to our house stout. Yeah, man, back pew they have some really really damn good beer. Bobby is an awesome brewer. That dude knows a lot. Let's see here. I don't usually like salted caramel, but there is bourbon barrel aged. Okay. I think that will probably help make up anything that salted caramel would be putting in that recipe. That being bourbon barrel aged, salted caramel ice cream, awesome beer. Not so much. Wait, salt caramel ice cream, awesome beer. Not so much. I don't know. I don't know. There's like those like salted caramel like creams that you can put. Salted caramel ice cream is really good. I don't necessarily think I've had a salted caramel beer that I've really liked. I think I've only ever had two of them, maybe. They just like I said, I guess the execution on that additional taste is kind of been a little lacking in my opinion. As this thing warms up, the mint becomes more expressive, but it's matched equally with the those cocoa nibs. I don't taste the vanilla in there, which vanilla is one of those tastes that you don't really know what vanilla tastes like. You know what I mean? We all kind of interpret it as sweet because we're used to it being in cookies and cakes and whatnot, ice creams and stuff like that. So, um, oh man, this is really good. I really enjoy this. This beer right here. makes me wish that I had like a canner and I could can some of this and put it up. Um, be, maybe bottling it isn't out of the question, but I don't know. I really I really think that I did a decently good job there. I've been enjoying the New Zealand style pilsners done locally, like the one from Misfit and Project Halo. So yeah, Project Halo. I got to take some of their beer out of that, or I got to sample some of their beer out of that block party thing that we did. Uh, the Misfit thing, I don't know them. You know, there's just so many awesome breweries fixing to open up or have just opened up around our local area. I haven't made it out there. You know, I kind of just stick to the ones that I know, and I probably should do better than that. But you know, everything's kind of far away from me, unfortunately. You know, if I've got to drive, you know, 35 minutes to an hour, and kind of more hesitant to not go just because I'm a homebody. I'm a home brewer. You know, there's some styles that aren't worth brewing. I feel like at home, unless you just don't think that you can get a decent one out of there. You know, I'm probably more apt to probably go buy an IPA than I will to brew one. Um, you know, maybe even pilsners that way. I do have a pilsner in the plans. I'm gonna kind of do like the Bohemian check route with that. So I've got some grains already, and I've got the yeast strain, and I've got the hops. Now I just need a little bit of time to do it. That's definitely going to be, you know, probably towards the end of January, maybe the beginning of February when I brew that thing. Um, so again, next beer that I brew after this one's going to be a Berliner kettle sour. Then I will probably move into my traditional uh, uh, brew day for New Year's, and I'll probably knock out that my Irish stout, so that thing's ready for St. Patrick's Day. Um, Probably after that, I'm probably gonna do another Rogan beer, maybe another Kentucky Common. Kind of start getting some of that stuff ready for the spring time. Like to do another blonde, but I'll probably after the Irish Stout uh, brew day on New Year's, I'll probably go ahead and move into that like Bohemian Czech type Pilsner, and I'll be able to bust out the Firmzilla all rounder again with the cool fermentation setup, and hopefully I'll get that done. Um, the last Pilsner I did was that Italian Pilsner. I need to kind of wrap up that video, but I did a like a quick fermentation and lagering process with that, and I was really happy with that. That was a lot easier than the setup I did for the Marzen and the Dunkelsbach. That those fermentations and those lagerings just kind of took for freaking ever, man. You know, but I guess it's all about timing your temperatures and all that. See here, so we're right on time for to go ahead and pull those grains out and kind of get this thing starting to move into the boil. So bear with me for a minute while I kind of adjust everything around and get that done. Alrighty, so we're pretty much right there, about at volume. I normally squeeze the bag until I get enough wort to get to volume. I'm gonna let that bag cool off for a minute, but I'm gonna go ahead and take a gravity reading real quick. I'll be right back. So we're at 1040. Our target was 1044. Those 4 points, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to worry about that too much. Um, After I get this bag squeezed out and get that mixed into this wort, we'll take another gravity reading there. Hopefully, I'll be right there at the 1044 where our target is. But this thing's still pretty hot, so I'm gonna put the lid on this thing, and I'll try to catch up on any messages here real quick. Okay, so let's see here. Oh no, I'm squeezing the bag, dude. It's gonna happen. It happens every time. Uh, See, actually, skills lifting the without pulley, not. So this is a pretty light grain bill. When I do stouts and some of that other stuff like that, they do definitely become a little heavier. Every once in a while, I'll need a little bit of help, especially like with the stouts. I'm almost borderline over filling my kettle there in the current setup. I do have one of those cooler mash tuns that I've used a few times. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember the most recent time that I used it. It was the Dunkelsbach that I most recently used that in, and that was that was a hard brew day. We were trying to do some step mashing with it. We missed some of our temperatures, so we missed out on some of the extractions and stuff like that. So that kind of sucked. Before that, I used it on Revenge of the Double. That was the second attempt at my Double, and that thing, I didn't have a recirculation deal with that, an arm or a pump or whatever, and so I've slowly but surely have added to that thing. I really kind of need to nail down that thing and just kind of figure out all my extractions on that, especially now that I've got the recirculation pump and the sparge arm, so that way I can recirculate a little bit better. Let's see here. Venture cooler mash tun is our jam. Man, I'm not gonna knock it. If you do it and it works, then great. Um, I kind of prefer this setup, honestly. Just less shit to clean at the end of the day, and that's kind of my goal for everything. Kind of why I no chill and stuff like that. It's just less stuff to have to keep up with, less stuff to clean. But sometimes you got to do it, and it is what it is at that point. As much as I hate that saying, it is what it is. Let's see here. That's about it as far as the comments that I see here. So let's see if we can get any more extraction out of this bag here. So, would you guys chase those 4 points? When do you worry about your extraction uh, with your mash and all that? So Venture, no, I haven't talked necessarily about my approach at water chemistry. Let me scoot over here a little bit better. So, I use RO water, and then I just use Beersmith to do all my water chemistry. Honestly, my approach to that is I'm not a scientist. I'm not a chemist. So a lot of those compounds and stuff, um, don't really make too much sense to me. It should a little bit better, but it doesn't. If I would take the time to do it, but I've got a program that does all that. So my approach is basically to figure out the color style and use that in Beersmith, and then say, oh, okay, well, do I want it dry? Do I want it balanced? And then go from there on it. Um, as far as water chemistry goes, I know things like stouts take, more, what is it, calcium and chloride or something like that. So, I've got to use a lot of baking soda and stuff like that and those type of deals. Whereas something like this has minimum amounts of salts, especially. Yeah, Dean. So that brought us right up to our volume. I'm going to mix this in really well so that way this gravity sample will be accurate. All right. So we're right at 10, 42. We're 2 points off. I'm done. I'm not going to chase 2 points. Not worth it. Let's see here. Rinse this off. Take a drink to stay hydrated. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and light this kettle up, get that going real quick, and then I'm gonna go dump these grains off to the chickens real quick, and I will be right back. Igniter for that lighter kind of was stuck in there for a minute. I'll be right back. All right, so we're done with the mash. I'm not. I typically don't worry about mash out. Um, it is what it is. There again. Um, Stouts and stuff I'll mash out on. I feel like I notice a difference there. Pretty much everything else, not so much. So we're moving into the boil there. This is a 60-minute boil. So we'll we'll maybe try to make up those two gravity points there that we're missing. Let's see here. Let's catch up for your question. Never really worry much about a couple gravity. Yeah. Typically, most of the time, I find myself if it's like 5 or under, I don't really worry about it. If it's 10, then I either need to make it up with some boil time, um, or whatnot. I did have like one that I like missed it by like 15 points, and so I added a little malt extract to it, some DME to it, and to make up those points. Um, you know, I I think anything more than that, you're probably going to have a pretty decent extended boil time to make that up. See here, Dean, boil time. Yes, sir, sure is. Um, so let's see here. Gonna no chill it, so that'll be great. So we're pretty much already on the downhill slope of this thing. How do you guys feel about like the hot baskets and hot spiders and stuff like that? Y'all, anybody use them? Anybody don't use them? Uh, Generally, my practice here is if it's an ounce or under of hops that I'm using, I don't use my hot basket. And then if it's anything more than an ounce, then I'll go ahead and use my hot basket because I'll take those hops and I'll feed them to the chickens. That's about the pretty much the only reason why. See here, have you ever no chill and find that it's too hot for in the morning? So yeah, when I brew like on Sundays, I often am kind of brewing a little bit late. Uh, and so I'll have to come home during lunch, like on Mondays, and transfer my wort and pitch my yeast. Then, especially if I'm doing like the like room fermentation and stuff like that. If it's something that I'm going to be using my cold fermentation deal to, I'll adjust the schedule and try to normally brew like on Saturdays. I typically enjoy brewing on Saturdays, get it knocked out of the way, and then that way Sundays are freed up for me, unless I'm doing another batch on that Sunday. But I try not to brew on Sundays just for that reason because I no chill. I have been using my chiller more frequently than not anymore on some brews. Things like let's see here, the Fire Ant Ale one. I used my chiller just to go ahead and get that yeast going on that project. I really wanted to get moving on that one. Let's see here. The tropical stout I used the chiller on because I was doing a hop stand or whirlpool on that. Um, let's see here. I think I used. Let's see here on the Italian Pilsner. I chilled on that, I believe, and then I stalled out at about 85, 95, or 90 degrees, somewhere right around there. And then so once it hit that temp, went ahead transferred it to my Firmzilla, the all rounder, with that temp twister and all that. Had the ice cooler with ice in it, and I went ahead and got that down to pitching temperature off of that. That used up a shit ton of ice. That was a lot of ice that thing used up on that to get it down to pitching temperature. I ran it down to like 50, I think, and then I believe I've pitched at 52. I have to go back and look at my notes as far as that goes, so don't quote me on that. Venture, I don't use it because I don't have one. Yeah, so I mean, uh, I guess that's a good reason to not use one. I don't know. I've been asked a lot before because of no chilling and then the time of hops on the worts. Like, how do I account for all that and whatnot? And, I think that, like, so IBUs are suggestive. It's a guess. The bitterness, the hop ratio, and all that. Like, I don't think it's a 100% exact thing, so I don't think that if I'm using an ounce or less of hops on my wort, that it's going to affect it very much. But again, like I said, if I'm using more than an ounce of hops, then I tend to pull those out anyways. Um, Unless I'm doing something like raw ale, then I'm making a hop tea for that, and that's a good way to put those hops into the wort as far as that goes. Let's see here. I love my all rounder, my favorite fermenter so far. I like my all rounder too, to some degrees. It does some things better than my bucket fermenters don't do, such as temperature control being number one. I have yet to pressure ferment in mine. I don't think mine is 100% leak free at this point, because I've had a lot of hard times like pulling that lid up off the all rounder, and so like I've kind of nicked a little bit of the collar and stuff like that. I noticed that there's just some wear and tear on it as when I was doing the Italian Pilsner in it last time. I think it's good enough to keep like bugs and bacteria out, but I don't know about pressure fermenting in it. I'm gonna try to get a lid for that. I think I kind of maybe went a little hog wild on the holes to put the temp twister in there and stuff like that, and so it might be not 100% ready as far as that goes. Now, let's see here. The things that I dislike about it is it's a little harder to clean. I mean, it's and it's got that strap on it, and so gotta make sure that that's clean and sanitary. So it's not like as easy as like my plastic fermenting buckets as far as that goes, but I can see using more of those more frequently as I try to do a lot more temperature controlled stuff. Now I'm kind of looking at like the spike fermenters, and I know those are really expensive as far as that goes. Uh, Now, as far as that goes, though, we'll just see what happens as far as that goes. Oh, let's see here. Ramon, looks like you're getting a hot basket for Christmas. When I do an IPA in the summer, I could have to use one. It was too much hops. Yeah, so like you want to try to limit as much of that stuff as possible. Like I use a Warflock tablet to help knock all that stuff out, but there's only so much that you can do there. Let's see here. Sorry, I want to make sure I keep a really good eye on this because I do not want to boil over, especially with the lid on. That would be pretty bad. We're at about 185. So, let's see here. Dean, set one back. Yes, please. Well, I'm good for it. Let's see. Oh yeah, I don't use a thermal well. I heard people having issues with holding pressure. I pressure ferment most of the time now. I throw it in the freezer. A pressure fermentation is something that I'm really curious about. I'm really curious about. I'd like to try it. So, like, if you've got any pointers, let me know. I think the first thing that I was just going to try to do was like some kind of simple smash beer with like USO5, just to kind of get a feel for it. Looks like it's a pretty simple deal. Looks like there might be a little bit of a learning curve to it, but I don't think it'll be totally crazy. So we're almost to 190. Soap. Man, I had something that I was gonna ask, and I can't remember what it was. So Northwest, you primarily keg, correct? I know Venture just started kegging. Uh, Gnome, he kegs. Dean, I know he kegs. Thank you, Dean. Um, I don't know. Anybody got any questions about what I do? Why I'm so weird? Why am I so awesome? I I actually don't mind bottling. I kind of like to use it as a little bit of zen time. The last thing that I bottled, I think it was the Valor, and I was like, man, why didn't I keg this though? But that has bread in it, and I don't want to affect my keezer. Uh, my wife has told me that I should go ahead and get a tap for sours and lines for sours and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens. Maybe when I rebuild the keezer, I'll do something like that. My current situation has the taps kind of spread out across the whole collar. I think when I go to redo it, I'm going to put all the taps kind of closer to one side and kind of clean it up, make it easier to get kegs in and out. Yes, I have bottles, but I use. What's okay? Okay. Heck yeah, keg bottling hurts my back. All right, so we're getting up to 200 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and get this lid off so I can watch this boil. It is really nice to have a kettle that you can hang the lid off at the back of like that. It's yes, they just get it off of prevent you from putting it down on something and making a mess, you know, having an accident or whatever. Let's see here. I just got back pressure bottle. Ramon, I need to talk to you about that. I need to I need to see your setup as far as that goes. Maybe need some hints. I was just talking to Dean and Kevin Seta about that earlier. Uh, I need to see about what to do for some competition entries. I think that that'll help me out. So, as far as the gunk that's on the top of your boil, are you a scooper or are you a mixer? I kind of prefer the mix it back into the beer aspect. I feel like if the boil doesn't want it after that point, it'll fix it, or fermentation will fix it. I know there's a lot of people that skim off the top, get all the gunk out of there, that film and the proteins and stuff like that. But I like to try to put it back in the beer, see what happens. And Dean, if you tell me that's DMS, I'm going to hit you. So we're fixing to hit 210. I promise I love each and every single one of you, and I'm not trying to ignore you, but I don't want to boil over. So I will try to check the comments kind of after we hit the break, and I'll try to monitor it from where I can. But cheers, guys, and I'll be back on this side of things in just a moment.
What is your carbonation process after kegging? Do you target a specific CO2 goal depending on the style?
We've got a small little bit of boiling happen. Maybe the next time we try to stream, I'll try to set up some different cameras to be able to cut to bring you guys along a little bit more better on this process. As I said, this is kind of like an experiment into the live streaming aspect of this goes. So please bear with any technical glitches or not inclusiveness. So we got a little bit more of a heavy boil going. I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit so that way we can have a nice controlled experience into full boil. All right, I hate to say something that's gonna end up biting me in the butt here, but got a nice little transition, nice little rolling boil, nice and controlled. Knock on wood, no terrible foaming yet. So I think we hit a nice little break here. All right. At the risk of a boil over, I'm going to try to read a comment or two.
I read it to you.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't remember what the. So, Venture, what is the carbonation process after kegging? Do you target a specific CO2 volume? Let's see here, OPS, the ball lock attachments for the all rounder. You can have. Okay, so number one, Venture, for kegging, I do that forced carbonation where it's like 30 psi for 2 days. Bleed it off, and then put it at serving psi. Northwest. So about the ball lock attachments, I'm an odd duck. I have pin lock for my kegs. Yep. Bet you didn't see that coming, did you?
It's gonna get weird.
Gonna get weird. uh, got that nice little small bowl going. I'm gonna kick it up a notch here real quick. Here comes the hot basket. I don't know why, but I really like just putting it on this side of the kettle. Creature habits, I guess. And here's our first hop edition. East Kent Goldings. 60 minutes. Man, really love the smell of East Kent Goldings. I really wish y'all could smell that right now. Can you set the timer for 45 minutes, please? All right, so we're good for 45 minutes. Now, Northwest Pinlock. Oh my God. Pinlock. Yeah. So when I bought the Keezer, bought it secondhand. It was already put together. It already had all that stuff. I got a really good deal on the first like I think it was 3 kegs I had. As far as that goes, I'm gonna turn down this boil just a little bit. Let that break happen there because of the hops. So the Pinlocks, got a really good deal on like the first 3 kegs I had, and then after that, I found a really amazing deal on the rest of the Pinlocks that I ended up getting uh, for uh, for that. So I've got a line on a few more Pinlocks, and so eventually the plan was to kind of just convert over into ball lock, and then like use the Pinlocks for like sours. Um, that way, there's no chance of being able to mix up what keg goes where, what tap goes to what, and stuff like that. That was the initial plan. Still kind of the plan, but I don't really have anything past that at this point. I'm gonna keep rolling with the pin locks. I've knock on wood. I've had really good success with that. I've only had one bad keg. Uh, come out of all the deals, and it was a free keg given to me when I went and picked up the second batch of kegs. I will say that that used keg market is kind of weird when you're buying from individuals. Because the ones that I bought, she said that they were all cleaned and stuff like that. They very much were not. And one of them had like a mesh screen in it, I guess, that they had used for like some kind of fruit addition, and that fruit addition had grown some mold in it and stuff like that, and so that was a pretty hectic keg to clean up, and that was a pretty nasty mess. I should have tackled that sooner, uh, instead of the 3 months later that I ended up doing. Uh, Again, my adventures in home brewing is kind of awesome and terrifying sometimes when it comes to situations like that. But I can only blame myself as far as that goes. Right. So I like the ability to have that control over the boil with the direct fire, which I know you can get kind of the same thing with the electric style and stuff like that. But you know, sometimes it's finding that right amount of gas for the day. It's not always the same. It seems like during the summer around here, anyways. It seems like it's pretty even, but all right. So, Venture, nice. I love EKGs. Man, they're in just about every beer, aren't they? It seems like it's a good hop, good bittering hop. Um, I don't really know if it has another use other than bittering. Like if people use it for a flavoring or aroma hop. Um, I enjoy them, especially in styles like this. I know some people use them in like stouts and stuff like that. I think pretty sure it's been a while since I've looked at my stout recipe, but I I feel like it has these King Goldings in it. I've really come to love Saw's hops. Like I did that smash beer with the Tex malt, and I used all Saw's hops for that. And my only complaint about that beer is so I was looking kind of for like a nice light, not necessarily like blonde type beer, but something like along those lines, not necessarily quite in the pale ale territory. But I messed up on a hop edition. I meant to use it in a 15-minute edition, and instead I mistakenly had two 30-minute editions, and so it turned out to be like I want to say like a 35, 38 IBU pale ale, and it was still very delicious. And surprisingly to me, that thing went into I entered it and it went into a mini best of show. Northwest Brewing, have a great rest of your brew day. I gotta head over to. Hey man, thank you so much Northwest for stopping by. Man, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna go check out that video you talked about earlier. Here after I get done with all this tonight. Cheers, buddy. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. Uh, so that Saw's Tex Malt beer, it surprised me when it got that mini best of show uh, round. Of course, it didn't transition into the next part of it. I think maybe the carbonation of that one kind of killed it. I tried to I bottled that one, and I tried to have a nice, even lower kind of carbonation that it ended up being. Kind of became overcarbonated, so I think that had something to do with why it didn't get the next round up. I got to go back and look at some of the judges' notes with that. I think maybe they picked up on some esters due to fermenting it at room temperature. Let's see. This is great, Matt. I've got to go, but I'm looking forward to your next one. This I'm sure will turn out great. Thank you so much, Ramon, for stopping by. Really appreciate you hanging out with us too, man. Cheers, buddy. We'll catch you next time. Shoot me a text here next couple of days, and we'll talk about some stuff. All right. So, we've got a couple people that have gone off, but to those people that are still hanging in here, you guys got anything? You want to hear anything? Want to see anything? Talk about anything? Um, I don't normally drink beer until after the boil, but I had the one when we were waiting for our strike, and then I showed off the Thin Mint Stout a little bit ago, so kind of want another beer, but I think I'm going to hang on for just a little bit. Hey, Brewing Bad, welcome back. We've been talking about all kinds of things, buddy. It's going, so we just moved into the boil not that long ago, did the first hop edition, East King Goldings. So we're waiting for our next edition, which will be a Warflock tablet, and then we'll do some yeast nutrients, and then the last 5 minutes of the boil, we'll throw in 1 ounce of Saws, and after that, it's lid on and burner off, and we're done for the day. So what do you know, Brewing Bad? We've talked about all kinds of things. Entering competitions. We've talked about who's brewing on what system. Let's see here. Favorite fermenters, kettles. We've asked if people use spiders or hop baskets. We've talked about mash tun coolers. Or I guess cooler mash tuns. Sorry if I keep looking away. I'm just very paranoid about, the whole not watched boil thing. I don't want to end up with like 3rd degree burns tonight. Let's see here. When we pulled the greens out, I went and fed the greens to the chickens. Uh, we've talked about temperature controlled fermentation. Cascade, I'm heading out for dinner and beers. I'm looking forward to the chicken cam next stream. Yes, sir. Thank you, Cascade, for hanging out with us, buddy. We really appreciate you coming by. Let's see here. We'll see about adding that chicken cam to the next stream. Man, I'm glad to be alive right now with a great time. And a homebrewer with everything. Yes, that is absolutely true. I know, like, so as homebrewers, we've definitely have seen an increase in price on some things. We've seen some scarcity on some things. I've been lucky enough to be able to put my hands on most of everything that I need when I need it. There has been a couple like closer calls on some brews. Uh, Generally, I like to kind of have all my stuff together a month before I brew something, so that way if I've got to make up any time. Uh, Unfortunately, places like more beer and Northern Brewer, they've left a bad taste in my mouth, especially when I was without a homebrew store locally. I was without a local homebrew store for about 6 months or so. Luckily enough, after the one shut down, within 6 months another one opened up. I'm lucky there. That homebrew store is very supportive of my local brew club, um, and me in general. I'm lucky enough to be able to call, Kevin and Dean friends. I feel like, so. While I'm lucky in that, I know not everybody is that lucky that has a local homebrew store. I've been on a very big kick on telling people that like if you don't have a local homebrew store close to you, instead of supporting someone like Northern Brewer, More Beer, or the big box stores like Amazon, try to go find the most local business to you that's a local homebrew store or something of that situation and buy from them because your money is going to mean more to them than the other people. And, unfortunately, I do feel like with More Beer and Northern Brewer, you're just a number and a name and not a customer, especially anymore. I definitely feel that more so with Northern Brewer than I ever had before. I'd ordered some stuff off Northern Brewer before that my local homebrew store couldn't get, and I guess I'm at the point to where I'm just doing trying to support those places. It'd have to take a very big turnaround for something like that. But you have to do what you have to do too, and I understand that. A lot of people don't have a choice other than more beer or Northern Brewer, but I do suggest trying to like take a little bit extra step and see if there's somebody that's local to you that's willing to kind of help you out. You know what I mean? But yes, we do have a lot of awesome things at our disposal, and it seems like every day more and more things are coming our way with different hop strains, hop variants, yeast variants, yeast strains, malts a little bit. Let's see here. I saw something. Okay, there we go. Also, there's just so much knowledge out there to help learn. Yeah, I just started brewing early this year, and I found so much. Yes, there's a lot of good information out there, and a lot of ton of places to find that information. Uh, you know, um, I've I started back in like 2016 ish time. Um, I so my first ferment was like this kind of like peach brandy that was like kind of like the low skill like prison wine type deal to make. That thing. after everything was said and done, it was kind of terrible. It wasn't that great. Uh, Back then, looking at it, like remembering it, it was okay, you know. But now, like looking back at it, it wasn't. It wasn't that great. Like there could be so much better things done than that. Let's see. Kick this up just a minute. I've definitely been thankful for places like Reddit. There's a lot of information there, but you also got to know where to kind of like pull what's what's good and what's bad out of those things. There's forums. I hang out on Reddit and some forums. There's a lot of good Facebook groups out there and YouTube channels. One of the goals of my channel here was to kind of be another source of that information. Some things that I had a tough time finding any kind of information out or some kind of answers. One of the classic examples that I like to get is what happens when you take a little bit of sample or siphon off of some wort that's had some lacto in there. If you're like doing a kettle sour and then you take that sample and you repitch it into the next uh, the next batch. So that was pretty cool. You know, but there's just a ton of things out there, and also like learning, I guess, through books and stuff like that. Like a lot of books are like, okay, this is the way to brew. This is the only way to do something or whatever. That's not exactly true, you know. And as far as that goes, the some of that stuff is dated, not all of it. There's a lot of good advice, and also some of it's just meant to kind of be like more user friendly or beginner friendly from the very get go, and then hopefully you'll figure your way out from there. If you look at like my brewing style, I really feel like it's got a good mix of a lot of different things as far as it comes to like where it's truly quote unquote my style. I brew in a bag, and then use the direct fire kettle, which isn't necessarily abnormal, right? But then I do some unconventional things like no chill, which it's not necessarily unconventional. It's just there's a lot of people out there that've got a lot of misconceptions about it. And then when you start crossing into things like raw ale and like what it means to do that, and there's no one way really to do that either, but other than to not boil it. But things like no chill and raw ale have kind of become a very like looked down upon thing by people that are like higher up or kind of, I guess, conceited or convinced that their way is the only way to be brewing because they score 47s really regularly on every competition, or that they've got a billion medals or whatever. I like it. The thought process behind it is, at the end of the day, if I make a beer and I really, really like it, and I can share it with multiple people and everybody likes it, and we don't have a lot of those like problems with fermentation, like it's not a uncompleted fermented brew or something like that, then we've hit all the things right. We're not pulling like all those big like DMS things and stuff like that. So, um, you know, I I brewed mostly kits from like 2016 to, I don't know, maybe right at the beginning of 2018. Then I kind of started putting together some of my own, or then I switched over to all grain. Started brewing some other people's all grain stuff, looking at their notes and stuff like that, and then kind of started writing my own recipes. Late 18 into 19, and now I pretty much exclusively write all of my own recipes. It's been a very long time since I've brewed anybody else's recipe. Um, so, But I love sharing my recipes and looking at other people's though for inspirations and saying, okay, well they chose that malt for that profile, that yeast for that profile, those hops for that profile and stuff. Just trying to gather as much knowledge, like you said, as possible to make you a better home brewer. Dean, brewing a barley wine next, but I'm on the fence about what I should brew for my first brew of 23 options: wheat beer, smash IPA, amber, coffee stout. Um, yeah. So, when are you looking at brewing, Dean? Maybe we can do something. I know we talked about doing something together for a little bit. Maybe that I I'm not gonna break my tradition of my New Year's Day brew being the rye Irish stout, but I'll probably be looking for something to brew shortly after that. So you let me know kind of like when you're thinking about brewing in 2023 as far as your first one, and maybe we can hook up and do something together. I think that would be fun, especially if maybe we can get Kevin involved and do some silly shenanigans there. Let's see here. We're moving along pretty good. Um, I think I'm gonna have to go get some kind of light though here. It's starting to get pretty dark, and the lights that I have here on the canopy, we've got several bulbs out on, and I need to get that done. Brewing Bad, give me just a moment, and I will answer your question in just a moment. Sorry, guys, had to get this light. Take just another moment to set up here. Wasn't planning on brewing this late today, but things happen. Just another moment. All right. Let's see. Got some light now, so that's better. Um, let's see here. Do you perform no chill on every brew? As far as the no chill stuff goes, I used to basically, so during my extract days, I had an immersion chiller, and I would chill that off in the sink. And then I switched over to my all grain. I tried that out a couple times. I was successful with getting it right around 100 degrees or so, then it would kind of stall out. And so I had to let it come down naturally after that, anyways. Now most brews that I do are no chill. This year, off of my memory, Fire Ant Ale was chilled. The Tropical Stout was chilled. The Dunkelsbach was chilled. Um, and the Thin Mint Stout was chilled as well. Um, anything, some of the brews that I've done between those and that I've done after those have been no chilled at to this point. So after the Thin Mint Stout this year, I've done my birthday stout, which I brewed with Quake, and that was fermented at 95 degrees. So once it hit 95, I transferred it, pitched my yeast, and let it run as far as that goes. Let's see here. The Lithuanian Farmhouse was after that. Again, that was no chilled. That went down to room temp about 75. Pitched at that temperature, let it rip. I've kind of learned like a lot of those like farmhouses and saisons that I've been doing. You know, that style kind of or those styles kind of especially the yeast and the yeast profiles really dig kind of like the warmer stuff. So if I'm no chilling, it kind of matches up to that. But with my temperature controlled stuff that I've done this year, uh, the Marzen I temperature controlled, the Dunkelsbach I temperature controlled fermentation that and lagered that, but I no chilled that until it was about 75, and then I let it go. And that was kind of a little bit of an experiment between equipment to see like what the right process was, kind of get a feel for if I wanted to switch things up or whatever as far as that goes. Uh, but yeah, most everything around here that I do is no chilled. I'm probably gonna start switching that up a little bit more often. Heading into next year, I'm probably gonna do a lot more temperature controlled fermentations and not just like the heated ones like with Quake. I'm probably going to be looking at trying to get into a little bit more of the cooler fermentation setups and stuff like that, and do some different styles as far as that goes, to really kind of get a good handle and a good feel, and of course, learn and share some of those experiences there. I will say though, so I catch a lot of flack for not chilling. I will say that I've had more infections with beer that I've chilled properly down to pitching temperature than I have with not chilling. So I've had a grand total of two beers that I chilled down properly to pitching temperature that became infected, and that I uh, controlled the fermentation at a certain temperature that was low than I ever have with beer that I've not chilled any beer with. I better knock on some wood there because I've had zero as far as the no chilled go. Now I did have one beer that got infected when I added some fruit to it that wasn't properly handled at that point. So I can't really knock a process as far as the chill versus no chill goes there. That's a poor handling of secondary fermentation additions as far as that goes, and that's my fault for not making sure that those cherries were properly sanitized when I added them into that blender and made some fancy vinegar because of the acetobacter there. Um, I did I did a porter that was infected that I had chilled and I was fermenting it at low temperature there. It started to grow a pellicle on the top. So that was I don't know what happened there. I guess maybe somehow I didn't uh, clean the fermenter very well there, or I caught something during transfer. I, I don't know. You know, when I no chill, I put this up on the keezer with a towel under it um, after it comes down to about 175, and then when I'm ready to transfer at about 75 or so, I crack that valve open just a little bit. I let a little bit of work get in there. I pitch my yeast on top of that, and then I just full open that valve, and I set that bucket down and let it gain as much air into that, and so it becomes very aerated. You know, I'll have like this much foam, you know, in the fermenter, like to where it's touching the lid there. So I don't know if that helps add a little layer of protection as far as that goes. And then, you know, because I do a lot of quake fermenting, you know, quake normally takes off pretty quickly, and so maybe it's able to beat a lot of things there, especially the higher temperatures. But you know, um, like when I kettle sour, you know, I'm kettle souring at like 95 or 100 degrees for lactose. So I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I just know what I found that's worked for me, and it's worked decently for me at least thus far. Let's see here. Thanks for the explanation. Open fermentation for farmhouse type L's interest me, like in cool ships. So, yeah, I have yet to do an open fermentation. I kind of want to. One of the styles that I saw that a lot of people like to do open fermentations are like Hefeweizens. So like the banana and the clove esters really start to pop in those beers. As far as the farmhouse and saisons, that's really interesting to me as well. Um, I keep saying like this is the year that I'm going to try to go in the garden and see about collecting some kind of yeast culture off of that, or some fruit from the fruit trees, or something like that. You know, those are those things though. Sometimes you got to be a little careful with. You never know what you're going to get as far as that goes. Um, yeah, the cool ship thing is definitely interesting to me as well. Um, I do want to try to collect some kind of yeast samples. From what I've read, though, at least the more like metropolitan area that you live in, the harder it is going to be to collect a good sample of something that's going to make beer good. You know, live in a kind of rural area. I've got like 50 acres of woods behind me. There's a bunch of cow pastures here or there. You can hear goats and you know stuff like that. So maybe I'll get lucky if I try to do it. I don't really know. I don't have any experience in that. The only experience picking up some kind of yeast that I haven't bought from the homebrew store was taking some yeast out of some bottles and making a pitchable uh, deal there, working up a yeast culture there, you know, that I did off of some farmhouse saison beers. And then I did it with some Trappist ales too for uh, my last attempt at a double. That I feel like it turned out pretty good personally. You know, so it'll be interesting to see how that beer tastes here in a few more months when I try to revisit it. It's past a year now, so the Hell Saison just got done uh, past a year, and I just had the last year of that first edition in that. See here, I'm near Nashville. Boule biology is here, and some good local yeast cultures. Yeah, yeah. That. Let's see here. The bootleg biology kit seems to be very cool. That I've looked at that kit. My local homebrew club, they did a deal with them before, where they came out and kind of taught a class, and I wasn't a member during that point in time. It was pre-COVID. I joined. Let's see here. What is this? 22. So I joined like back in 20, with my club, and so they're talking about bringing them back out here again and doing a class, and we'll just kind of go from there. I I think I'm gonna try to do my own experiments here. We've got one, two, three. So we've got like three little gardens floating around our yard structure here. And then I kind of got like a little mini orchard with a couple pear trees. I think we're down to one peach tree. The rest of them died during a freeze. I've got a persimmon tree, a couple figs, and then I've got several little spots with a bunch of prickly pear colonies that I've started around here. I've got access to a lot of different areas of prickly pear, some persimmons and stuff like that too, spread out across a couple cities local to me. So I've also got a friend that's got a bunch of property out towards West Texas, and one thing that I wanted him to try to do was maybe gather me some local fruits and stuff like that, berries and things like that grow off his property over there. I think that would be pretty cool to be able to find some kind of brew, or some kind of brewing yeast there, and then go from there on it. Let's see here. My friend wanted to know how often does the number 44 occur in brewing. I have no idea about that. I sorry. Let's see here. We got to be closing in on the time to throw in the Warflock tablet here pretty soon. I guess. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the 44? Yeah, I don't really. I don't know. Uh, I don't have any kind of context to that, so. Let's see here. I'll be right back. Okay, so we got uh we got about 7 minutes left until we throw in that Warflock tablet. Let's see. I guess maybe uh, I will tell you that, or I guess I hate to break it to you that this wart turned out to be 1.044 gravity. So, but we're boiling off some water to increase that brewery. Um, see here, it looks like ambient temperature is 80 there. Wow, it's in the 40s here. Yeah, yeah. Well, so that thermometer isn't too far away from my fire source, so it does skew the numbers a little bit. During the summer, like if it's 100 degrees ambient, here under this canopy when I'm brewing, it'll definitely get up to like 130 or so easy, especially during a boil. During like strike temp or something, it'll increase a little bit. Moving along pretty good. So I think this wort's supposed to be like 1050. Oh, see here, 1057 at the end of the boil. Need to make a note that we only hit 1042 here. We missed 2 points. I I don't know. I gotta say that I don't really dislike any numbers, so I am, and I feel like I'm the only one. Yeah, sorry. There's no numbers that I dislike, so my favorite number is 13. Let's see here. What else? So, do you brew any, or you looking to break out to brewing then? Um, we talked a lot about no chilling. Um, what else? So making wine in your closet is a little bit different than making beer. Generally, with wine and stuff, at least to my knowledge, you're not going to be boiling anything. You know, I guess maybe if you were adding some kind of fruits or some kind of juice or something like that. Um, let's see here. Uh, I would think like your wine, ciders, and meads are all probably going to be more closely related. I've done a few things as far as that goes, not a whole lot. I primarily like beer, and so that requires me to boil there. Outside of one style, which is raw ale, that's probably going to be a little bit more closer to that. Um, I don't know who you're addressing with your really or why, but so with beer, we the point is what you're gonna do is you're gonna start off with some water and some grains. You're gonna start off at a certain temperature, um, and the basics are that you're going to take that those grains and you're going to try to extract as much sugar into that water as you can. And then after that, then you take the you're going to take your wort or your sugary concoction and you're going to boil off as much of that water as you can within a reasonably amount of time, depending on the style and things that you're doing. So I'm gonna say no. It's pretty different than winemaking. Let's see here. I'm thinking about trying my head and making a wine mixture. So no, normally she doesn't like the beers. She'll try pretty much any one of them. Uh, Now she does she did enjoy the Hell Saison beer that I brewed, and she did just recently enjoy that Thin Mint Stout that I did. So I know like when she likes those, then so I don't know where you live. As far as a license to brew, it probably depends on where you live. Um, Here in the states, no, homebrewing is legal. Distilling is not. So we can brew beer, we can make wine, we can make cider, and then some other things as far as that goes. But we cannot make like things like whiskey, vodka, rum, or any of those proof of drinks. Um,
Time's up.
Okay. So it's time to throw in that Warflock tablet real quick. So let's get that done. And then after that, 5 minutes up, and then we throw in our yeast nutrients, and we're almost done. So here's our Warflock tablet. Bam! Done. Let's see here. Hard seltzer, smoothie. Uh, yeah, I've yet to do a hard seltzer. Those things kind of look uh, pretty interesting. I had one. I had a fellow uh, club member. He made a Mountain Dew seltzer, and so he took a bunch of Mountain Dew, boiled it down into like a syrup, and then he made his seltzer, added it to that, and that thing was dangerously good. It was like freaking like 8-9% or something like that, and it was just like just drinking water that was Mountain Dew flavored, and that holy crap, that thing was good. See here, I don't want to say because I don't. Where's the find? Okay, well, so if you live in the U.S., then yes, you can brew mead, white wines, ciders, and beer legally without um, any kind of license there, unless there's some kind of weird city ordinance where you can't brew or something like that. There's nothing of that I know of, but one of the few things that uh, we had happen to us in the 70s was there was actually a law that we were able to homebrew legally, which in my opinion it should have never been the case. But don't want to go down a political rant or anything there. Let's see here. Yeah, hobbies are good. Hobbies are a good thing to keep you busy and out of trouble. Um, you know, uh, Jimmy Carter. Yep. Thank you, Dean. It escaped me who it was. Uh, I knew the few that it wasn't right off the top of my head, but I for the life of me I couldn't remember who actually initialized it. Even though I still feel like it should have never been discouraged or outlawed to begin with. But again, not to go down a political rabbit hole. So let's see here. So we're trucking along still pretty good. I'm gonna bump up this a little bit to kind of get going a little bit more. And we need 2 more minutes and some yeast nutrients. I need to go get my yeast nutrients. Maybe distillation will be legalized in our lifetime. We'll come back to that. All right, so I've got my yeast nutrients here. Because this is a Clyke brew, I'll double up on the yeast nutrients so the yeasties stay happy. So as far as distillation being legal in our lifetime, um, I don't know. I, I I don't think that that should have been illegal either. Um, but I don't get to make the rules. As far as it being legalized in our lifetime, I'm gonna I'm gonna say, man, it's almost 50-50. Um, Dean, I think that's I've heard that too. Uh, I don't know. So I'm gonna say use your best judgment. Um, I don't do it. There's plenty of other people out there that do and have those channels. I understand the principles behind it. It's pretty easy to understand once, especially once you've brewed a couple different things as far as that goes. It seems to be pretty uh, time inclusive or time expensive as far as that goes. But I think maybe we'll. I think distillation being legal in our lifetimes as home brewers, I think that there's a 50-50 deal on that. We'll just see. Um, as home brewers, we're not able to legally sell our brews to people. We can't have a customer base or anything like that. So maybe that's kind of where that distillation thing goes, where you know it, you, I don't know. So let's see here. It is time to add this yeast nutrient. So I know that was more than double the amount there. You're not wrong there, Dean. You're not wrong. So as far as the pool goes, it looks like we're gonna be about 5 more minutes, and then we're gonna be able to call it quits. It looks like so. I'm streaming from my phone. I just got an alert that the phone is fixing to die. Got about 20-ish% left on it. So this thing cuts out. I'm sorry. Before we're done here, really enjoy all you guys hanging out for as long as you did. It's been a good chat. We've talked about a lot of cool things. Um, you know, uh, I just can't thank you enough for coming and stopping by, hanging out with us. Thank you for all the help and explaining things that you've done, Dean and Brewing Bad, and you know, uh, Gnome, all you guys. Just thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. Yes, sir, Dean. I'll see you. I'll see you soon. Thank you. I'm. This is my first stream. I really tried on this one. Thanks, Brew and Bad. I really appreciate you stopping in, and it's kind of the point of this channel.
Oh,
Yeah, I've already got it hooked up. I don't know.
this
Maybe
is a
it's
fast charger.
it's fine. We've got like 5 minutes left in the bowl. In case you don't know what happens here, because this is no chill, and in case my phone shuts off, uh, what we're gonna do here in the next 5 minutes is add our last hop addition, which will be 1 ounce of sauce. That'll go in the bowl for 5 minutes. After that, I'll pull this hot basket up, let it drain, let it boil for probably about 5 more minutes. Shut everything off, and then put my lid on, and then I just let it come down naturally uh, to temperature. room temp, and then I pitch my yeast and I let it rock and roll. But because I'm using quake on this one, I'll be fermenting it at 95, 93 degrees. So once it gets down that low, then I'll transfer it to my fermenter and get going on it. Um, I don't know what else, just because I don't know when this phone's gonna stop. So you know, uh, just kind of wanted to get all that out of the way, just in case the phone shuts off. Let's see here, we've got probably about 2 more minutes left in the bowl before we throw the saws in here. So I'll go ahead and get that ready. So this is that last edition of saws, and this is one of my all-time favorite hops. I really wish you guys could smell this too. This is hands down one of my favorite hop additions. Thank you, Brewing Bad. I can't wait to have that other beer. Um, you know, the point that I try to do is I at least try to get all the way through uh, the boil, or most of the way through the boil, before I crack a cold one, just because um, brewing accidents can happen, especially with hot water, hot worts, and all that. That's not to say that it's not right for everybody, but I just try to decrease the amount of accidents that can happen. Do I post my videos? I seem like a real nice guy. Yeah. So, subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Um, I try to take an approach on a kind of more beginner friendly, intermediate type deal. As far as my channel goes, I post new videos every other Thursday. Next video out will be this coming Thursday. Looking forward to sitting by the solo stove. Yes, I plan on doing that here in a little bit too. I got a nice cigar picked out, um, but I don't think that I'm personally going to want to sit by the solo stove because it's hot and it's humid out here right now. Um, but I might pour a little bit of whiskey in my Yeti cup, and I might pour a little bit of Coke over that, and grab me a nice cigar and sit down at the picnic table. Yeah, so I've actually got two kind of, well, I've got a few beginner videos. So the first one is extract brewing, and that walks you through as complete step by step as I could have made it. You can basically brew a whole kit of extract brewing during that whole process. It takes just about as long to make it through that video as it does to brew that batch of beer. Then I have an all grain one where I skip a few things because some stuff is redundant between the processes, so you can kind of see that. And then I've got a beginner's video on how to bottle beer easily. Yeah, yeah, you would. um, let's see here, and then I've got kind of like the beginners, intermediate stuff kind of going on here on the channel, at least for now. We'll revisit some ideas, some techniques. We'll get into some more beginning stuff here before too much longer. I've got a couple things where we'll be working with Dean and the brew shop he works for, Waseta. Uh, we'll be working on some content together, I believe. and then I've got a couple other guys that I'm working with on some stuff. We've had some collaborations. Um, so yeah, it's just kind of point of this channel is to kind of follow me along my path to home brewing, check out the stuff that I'm doing, and to be another source of education and knowledge, and kind of hopefully get more people hooked on home brewing. This fun hobby of ours. You just have so much room for expression uh, in yourself and what you make and what you can do. So, yep. And looks like we've passed up the time for that last top edition, but I mean, it's all good. So, last dose, 1 ounce Haas, that beautiful, beautiful smell of Haas. Went in our hot basket. So, 5 minutes from now, we're going to pull that basket out, drain those hops, and then we'll basically we're done at that point. Man, thank you so much, Brew and Beth, for coming by. Uh, yeah, uh, dude, thank you so much for everything. Hit me up. You know where to find me. I want to talk to you about some stuff. Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty passionate about it. If you go back and look at some of my videos, I come across a little bit drier than I am in real life. Um, uh, you know, but I like to have a good time with it, good time with friends. There's just so many ideas, techniques, and tips, and all that. Andor. And then Andor. Yep, that's a good show. If you haven't watched Andor, that is probably right now one of my most favorite Star Wars happenings. I really like it. So we got away from the Skywalkers, which is awesome. We got to go see some new and interesting things, some new and interesting people. Uh, Surprisingly, there's no Jedi's, which I'm not necessarily mad at. Um, so that's pretty cool. We don't see any Mandalorians or anything like that yet. Um, we've only seen a couple of little alien species in the deal so far. So far so happy with that series. I hope that they keep trekking that along. I think uh, I think that whole Star Wars universe has so much to offer as far as worlds and potential stories that it could tell. So I'm really happy that they do that. Um, I wouldn't say that I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. Definitely enjoy it, uh, but I think I prefer like Dune um, than most of the other kind of sci-fi space deals. I think that has a very immersive world in it. Uh, Fortunately, we weren't always able to break away from the protagonist family, but it is what it is. I like the prequels and all that to that series as well. I don't read nearly as much as I used to, but yeah. Sopranos, never seen it. Uh, I don't know. I've gotten to the point anymore uh, because of the channel and all my other commitments and stuff. We don't have a whole lot of time for TV. You don't have a whole lot of time for books and stuff like that. So, um, you know, uh, the home brewing Reddit forum, some of the Facebook groups that I'm in for home brewing and stuff like that. I don't have a whole lot of time for a whole lot of new shows, so it's kind of gotta ping my interest from the very beginning. The Sopranos looked like it was interesting, but they I just hadn't had the opportunity to sit down and watch it, and I think that that's going to be one of those ones where I'd have to sit down and watch it. Uh, the new Dune movie is actually I like it. I've only seen it the one time though. I want to go back and sit down and watch it. We'll, we'll make that journey back around and see it here pretty soon. Alrighty. So we're just about done with our last 5 minutes. Let me go ahead and pull this hot basket, get it draining, so we can wrap up here pretty soon. So this is going to be pretty hot, and I don't have my oven mitt out here. Alrighty, so got that out of the way. Let's see here. Well, 5 more minutes, and we're done. Um, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and end the stream here. If you got any questions or whatever, feel free to ask. Maybe write them down. Maybe we'll try to do another one here pretty soon. Um, with all that said, I got 5 minutes left. I want to go ahead and start doing some cleanup time. It's starting to get a little late. I'm getting kind of hungry. So I want to just kind of get this done and over with and just be done and put up. Um, Thank you guys for stopping in again so much. If you haven't had the opportunity to do it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Again, the video's out every other Thursday. Maybe we'll try to do these live streams a little bit more often. Um, Cheers.